Welcome to the Ben Stage. I'm Ben Stage, your host. Another exciting episode where we're looking at the world of tattoos. You know, it is a fast-growing trend in South Africa. People are having tattoos all over. Some even tattoo their faces. Some tattoo their private parts. You can never know. But we've got an expert who has been all over the world. He is from America, but now he loves South Africa, and he's even got a tattoo parlor at Maboneng. Let us welcome Mr. Eldo. Mr. Eldo, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me, for sure.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was so fascinated with your warm welcome when I approached you to be on the show.
Oh, right on.
And, meeting a stranger at your business, and you go like, oh, why not? Let me come.
Well, yeah, of course. It's a new business, so, I'm just learning about everybody in the neighborhood, and because Maboneng is such an artistic neighborhood, it's a pleasure to meet all these artists that come through.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but then if you were to tell us who is Aldo and your place of origin, we'll really love to know that.
Well, I'm from Philly. That's where I started tattooing at back in 1999.
Yeah.
And it was actually kind of funny. I was doing like a glass blowing apprenticeship and a tattoo apprenticeship kind of at the same time. And it came to a crossroads where I had to choose one. Yeah. And I thought to myself, well, if I want to travel the world, I can't carry around a bunch of glass blowing equipment. So let me try to, focus on tattooing and as an art form, to make money. And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you say Philly, I think that's your slang way of calling your area.
Yes.
But what about somebody who doesn't know what is Philly and where is Philly?
Who don't know Philly?
Is Philly in Africa? Is Philly in Germany?
Philadelphia. Yeah, it's in the United States.
Oh, yeah. Okay. In fact, you come a long way. You left the United States, and now you're based with us here in South Africa.
Yeah.
And for how long have you been in the country?
I've been in the country about 7 years now.
7 years.
Yeah.
And how do you find SA?
It's wonderful. I love it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Are there any similarities?
It reminds me of Philly.
It feels like Philly.
I'm telling you, for sure.
Hello, South Africans. You're living in Philly.
You would love it there. You wouldn't notice much difference, for sure.
Wow, that's great. So, growing up, have you always loved tattoos, or there was a stage in your life whereby you were introduced to tattoos, but I think you were introduced to tattoos?
Yeah, I've always loved them. As a kid, you get attracted to, let's say, cartoons, drawing cartoons. I would draw cartoons from the paper.
Yeah.
So then the next step was drawing cartoons on the neighborhood kids. Yeah. We would take markers and, just draw the little things on them. And that's actually how the logo for my shop came about, because the Zigzag Man was one of the things that I would draw on the neighborhood kids, because,
Okay, is that your brand you're wearing?
Yeah. It's a little, we tattooed up the Zigzag Man's face.
Wow.
And,
wow.
And call it a brand, yeah.
And so would you say there's a link between graffiti and tattoos?
Since like the 80s and 90s, when there's been a resurgence in popularity of tattoos, or at least an explosion in popularities, a lot of the artists that came up in that era were graffiti artists and stuff like that. So you see a lot of, especially in America anyway, a lot of tattoo styles that mimic the graffiti kind of writing, wild style, graffiti writing. Bubble letters was real popular. When I first started to tattoo in the late 90s, the early 2000s, people would come in and be like, let me get the bubble letters of this and that,
Okay.
So, yeah.
And then did you have a mentor in the tattoo world when you started?
Yeah, several actually.
Several mentors.
Well, people that inspired me to actually make a career of tattooing. Yeah, like when I first moved to Philadelphia, my upstairs neighbor was a tattoo artist, and he'd have a lot of tattoo and piercers over to his house for parties.
Yeah.
He was in one of the great shops in Philadelphia on South Street, which is like the busy little strip.
Okay.
And one of the oldest shops there, Philadelphia Eddie's. And now he has his own shop. But so he inspired me and got me my first set of tattoo machines,
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
From England, he went to a convention in England and brought back these handmade machines, that they only make so many a year. And
Yeah. What sort of instruments do you use in this field?
These particular instruments, these Mickey Sharps tattoo machines, you know, which
the tattoo
are,
machines.
yeah.
But I mean, I should think, let us talk about musicians. You know, they've got keyboards or pianos.
Sure.
But not every piano is the same. Then
Yeah.
I should think also in your industry that you have the top range of your instruments.
Yeah.
And you also have your very entry.
Yeah, if I was calling out the equipment that I'm using, you know what I mean, to give them the little plugs, the top of the line equipment, I mean, nowadays it's kind of changed. I'm kind of old school. I'm just the old school biker tattoo guy, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the equipment that I use is kind of in that vein. I'm using the Mickey Sharps, you know, microdial machines.
Yeah.
I'm using some not homemade, but machines put together by tattoo parlors in Pennsylvania, you know.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the name. They're going to kill me right now that I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But Glendale Tattoos, I think, in Pennsylvania, they made my shader. And then my power supply, which is very important, you know, part of your tattoo gear because it sends a constant current, you know, to keep your machine running nice and smooth.
Yeah.
I'm using an Icon, and Icons are very nice.
Okay.
You know, and that's the problem with, I mean, excuse me for jumping in, that now that we can just order anything online, you know what I mean? People that just get into the field, they jump on and they get a bunch of equipment from China, which, you know, is very inexpensive. And it works for a while, but maybe let's say the coils aren't wound properly or the springs aren't made of the proper steel. So, you know, they fail, you know, quicker than others, or, you know, there's definitely an art to making the machine as much as doing the tattoo.
Would you say there are some hazards, or could be some hazards in this field? Let me say somebody has got the wrong instrument and the wrong ink or whatever product you use, and that can cause damage to people.
For sure. I mean, for sure, because what we do as tattoo artists is put a scar into your skin with ink, you know, and what you have to, first off, have to know how to do technically is to put that scar in without creating a keloid or anything like that. You want to go,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? You basically want to go 1/32 of an inch, which I don't know how to translate that into centimeters, but it's very, you know, you got 7 layers of microdermis before you get to your permanent layer of skin, and a tattoo needle is supposed to scar that permanent layer without you know, going through it, you know, which would cause that keloid.
Well, I'm so glad that you've spoken about keloids, because some people don't know they've got a skin that's sensitive that can develop keloids.
Yes.
What is the worst scenario you've seen with a poor performance?
Yeah, a lot of times people come in and try to get something covered up that's completely keloid, and, you know, even if, let's say, if I colored it in solid black, you would still see that raised part of the tattoo.
Lump of the keloid.
Yeah, the keloid.
And then, so have you gone schooling for this profession you're doing, or you just learned it on the streets?
Apprenticed. I apprenticed for a year, yeah. I did like 12 months as an apprenticeship before I tattooed myself. I was the first person I tattooed.
Okay.
So,
is that?
But yeah, in the shop. But when you do a proper apprenticeship, you know, it's unpaid. You get tips because you learn everything from the artists that are there. They're teaching you how to set up the station, because I would be the one setting up their stations. So they would teach me how to set it up particularly for them, you know. They would, if they said if somebody wanted a piece of art that was on the walls, I'd be the one that have to go to the file to find the line tracing of that, to make a stencil of it, you know. I do everything for it so the artist could just come down, sit down, and tattoo. And back in those days, we made our own needles. We don't even do that anymore. You know, nowadays everything comes from China
Would you say now there are institutions where you can go study or learn to do this profession?
I don't know. I'm sure there are. I don't know who or where they are, and I don't think any. I don't want to say that. I'm actually, because I don't know. You know what I mean? It used to be. This was handed down from, you know, apprentice master kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody in the trade would teach you, you know, the trade, and you got to jump through hoops. I mean, literally clean the shop, clean the toilets, make sure there's no dust on the picture frames. You know what I mean? Like handle the clients, do the, you know, you learn the whole business, do all the paperwork. You know, you learn how to handle the money. You know about the splits. You know, you learn how to handle the
Yeah.
And by the time you finish and you become a tattoo artist, and that's, like I said, it took me a year, I'm able to do everything that's needed to be done in the shop. You know what I mean?
Now let us talk about the quality of skin.
Schools, though, we never looked fondly upon that, is what I'm trying to say. People in the trade look at a school as somebody that's not picking their clientele based on their art capability. It's based on how much money they have. You know what I mean? You just come to school, pay your money, you'll be out in 6 months here, knock them dead, go tattoo people.
And then, you can go mess everybody's skin. It's okay as long as you have the qualification to do it. But I heard you talking about skin. Do you assess your client's skin and the quality of skin, the skin type, if maybe it will work, and even the complexion?
Definitely all those things take a factor, for sure. Where you get your tattoo is going to be based on, like say, oh, I'm going to get something on my arm, and that'll take, it's a good firm muscle, it doesn't hurt as much, it doesn't take as long. If somebody wants to get it on their side, that muscle stretches, or that skin stretches more, so it takes more, longer to tattoo there. So you definitely assess all that. Skin tone, especially when you're doing your shading, you got to figure out how to make the picture pop against, light or dark skin, depending on what it is.
So I can say
it's a whole range of art stuff.
Yeah, I can say I think you are a guru in this field, because looking at your bio, I can see that you have operated in so many regions in the world. At some point in time, you were operating in India,
Nepal,
and then you left India.
Yeah.
Let us talk about India.
Sure.
What is the difference between doing tattoos in India and in the United States?
The difference that I saw while I was out there, the shops were Indian. I don't know, like all the other shops. There wasn't as big of a emphasis on, like in America, as an art form. There's a lot of tattoo flash on the wall. You have the artist in the shop creating the tattoo flash. When you're not busy, generally people would be drawing and painting. I'm probably one of the lazier ones in that field, where I like to surf the internet. But most of my other people in the field, I'll be busy sketching and drawing all day long, And in India, it was similar too, but there was great artists out there, but then there was a lot of places that, you just want to be careful of going in, because it's a dusty place. You know what I mean? It's dry and dusty. I don't want to say nothing bad about Indian tattoos or anything like that.
Yeah, the culture, wasn't there a culture shock? And the language barrier, because now you have moved from America, you're taking a fish out of the ocean and you place it elsewhere. How was that experience?
Again, a lot of the people's frame of reference for tattoos is what they see in America. You know what I mean? So when they watch things like Black Ink Crew or LA Ink or New York Ink and stuff like that, that's kind of the experience they expect when they walk into a tattoo shop. What I seen when I came here, especially from the couple tattoo shops that I worked at, they were trying to emphasize more of a custom art gallery, kind of vibe, where they didn't embrace the tattoo culture, at least as I came up in it. You know what I mean? It has to be welcoming, but a little threatening at the same time. I mean, you're coming in expecting a little pain. You know what I mean? Everybody knows a tattoo hurts to a degree.
Okay, please tell me, have you ever said no to a client?
Yeah, of course.
You have?
Yeah, not based on their art, but based on them, on their attitudes.
Yeah. On what circumstances?
Their attitudes. Usually they're drunk and they have a bad attitude, and I don't want to deal with it. Because when you have a tattoo, there's two things going to happen. I got to spend some time with this person for X amount of time tattooing them. They got to sit still, they have to be able to take. And two, they're going to remember me for the rest of their life, because I'm the guy. Every time they look at their tattoo, they're going to be like, this guy with the beard did it, or whatever they say.
Okay, so
some people you got to say no.
What brought your attention to South Africa in so much that I think in the USA the tattoo culture is bigger as compared to SA?
Yeah.
Then what brought you here?
Well, what brought me here was some friends that I knew from South Africa in Philadelphia, and they were like, my friends in South Africa would love to get some tattoos and stuff like that. And they were already tattooed up, but they needed some, I don't know what you call it, tattoo makeovers and things like that, So I came over, got kind of fell in love with the place. Stayed, and I was in Alexandria actually, which kind of reminded me of Jamaica a little bit. And in some ways, I had a great time there.
Do you mean Alexandria here?
Yeah.
In Joburg?
In Joburg,
Is
yeah.
that where you started?
Yeah.
Were you living in the township?
Yeah.
Because Alexandria is a township.
Yeah, a township.
Then, how did you mingle with the people, and did you find yourself a place there, or is that where you found your wife again? We're still gonna talk about your wife.
Oh God, she's gonna kill me. She specifically was like, "Don't you talk about me," but we'll touch on that. But she's from Alexandria, but I was staying with a friend, and so I was doing little tattoos and some little things in Alexandria, and I had a great time. The people there were great. I mean, I know it's a rough township or whatever, but I had a ball.
Were you not shocked the first time you stayed there?
Not
really.
I'm more shocked. I'm more shocked by Joburg than I am by Alex. You know what I mean? Alex reminded me.
What are you doing to the world, to the people? You're more shocked by Joburg than Alexandria.
Yeah, well, because Alex, when I got there, I kind of knew what I was getting into, and it reminded me of Kingston, Jamaica. You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of like the rough. The houses were small, kind of shack-like and all that. But there was regular houses too and stuff. What I'm trying to say is, I understood it. I understood the life. I was coming to Africa.
Yeah.
I'm in the township. This is what I can expect. And I'm hanging with great people, Rastas. Everybody took real good care of me, and I felt real welcome.
Yes.
So then, when I came to Joburg, when I started working here, I would take the taxi in. I was going from
the very taxi, the very public taxi.
Yeah.
That we know.
Yeah, the
not
Volkswagens, Toyotas. No, not Ubers. And so I would get dropped off at MTN station, and then I'd have to walk to Maboneng. And as you navigate those little corridors, you can see a lot of shocking shit.
Wow.
Sure.
Wow. So I had the privilege of talking to your wife when you were video calling.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I was there in your shop.
Yeah.
So how did you meet? And maybe you can tell the viewers about your wife.
I'll briefly.
You said to me she's Betty, right?
Yeah.
You married to a Betty.
Yeah.
And have you been to Limpopo? Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, I have been. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
And how many kids you have?
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. So the final thing is, how many tattoos are too much? Would you say, is there a thing like that to say now it's too much tattoos?
I've never said that to anybody. We always find room somewhere, But in this future, hey, it's changed. Like back when I was starting, nobody got tattoos on their face. You had to be really crazy. I wouldn't even say just in jail.
Freak.
Not even a tattoo freak. You just had to be a freak, like a freak.
Like a freak.
Yeah, I mean the guy
to have tattoos all over your face.
One of my buddies said back in the 90s, he said, 80% of the people that get a tattoo in the face are going to end up killing themselves. Because at one point they're going to regret it, like because the way society is going to constantly treat them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
I don't think he took into consideration that society might change a little bit because now it's quite popular, and people get them for reasons that I don't, personal, just as personal as they would get it on their arm. They get it in the center of their forehead and they get it on their face.
And so when it comes to the spirituality with tattoos, we did touch on that one. There's something you said to me. Let me remind you what you
please.
said. You said tattoos are a spiritual expression.
Yeah, it's definitely a
spiritual expression.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the oldest forms of indelible marks that we have throughout civilization. We found icemen up in the mountains, frozen, and two of the things that they had on them, which always boggled me, was they had tattoos, of the animals they hunted and things like that.
Yeah.
And he had a bag of ganja on him. And you can Google this. This is for real. These are people that were found frozen up in the Alps, but they had these tattoos. You know what I mean? And we're going back, over 5,000 years ago. And basically, the beginning of civilization, there was tattoos, and the people that did these tattoos were generally like the priests and the shamans. Like in some cultures, in Thailand, Buddhist monks will still tattoo you, in special things.
Please tell me the Buddhist religion welcomes tattoos? Or is it
Some sects of Buddhism will welcome tattoos. I couldn't speak for all Buddhists because I'm sure somebody will be like, no, we don't.
No.
But in Thailand there are monks that do tattoo, and they also do a certain thing where they'll roll a prayer up in a gold foil and then insert it in your neck.
Yes.
And then right outside these temples, and then they do it in a temple, not in a shop.
Yeah.
And then when you come out these temples, there's, scratch off, you get lottery tickets. Everybody's selling lottery tickets because it's for good luck, so people.
Okay, which religion you think is the worst critique of tattoos?
Well, I would imagine the ones that put in their holy books don't get tattooed. So you have, Judaism.
They do not.
Islam, I believe you don't get
Islam
tattooed also.
do not promote
and
tattoos.
they don't promote them, but any Muslim I ever met, and even the Jews I met that don't get tattoos as per their religion, has never said a critical word about me or my tattoos. Like they just personally don't get them. You know what I mean? The people that usually wag their fingers, are people that wish they could get tattoos and just don't do it. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't want to bash any particular beliefs based on
religion or faith.
But it's usually people's personal preference.
Yeah, but it seems like you're running away from mentioning Christianity. Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? But I'm going to tell you, Christianity had tattoos, from the gate. They were the earliest Christians. That's how they were known by their tattoos. The tattoo of the fish, the tattoo of the cross. These things were the early. And if you go to some cultures like I'm going to say Ethiopian Orthodox Christians, they might have tattoos, religious tattoos, and I've tattooed many Christians.
I mean, with these tattoos, some of them they are associated with gangsterism. Right?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
And also in prison, I heard that if you've got a tattoo in your body and you get arrested, remember, I heard, I've never been arrested, but they say that they're 26 and the whatevers.
Sure.
So some of these tattoos speak a language that only these gangsters can understand, and even that might put you at risk.
I was actually a tattoo witness, a tattoo expert on the stand for a case in Los Angeles, where the lawyer came in to my shop and we had a conversation, and he said, look, I got a client and he's getting, they're trying to get him life in prison because he shot a guy on the bus in self-defense because the guy was coming after him, but he shot him, and because of his tattoos, they're saying it was a gang-related crime, and they're giving him life. They want to go for life in prison.
Oh.
So the guy wanted me to go on the stand to decipher his tattoos to the jury, And so I looked at his tattoos, and, this is what I could say about him, at least these particular ones, at that time. These were the same pictures that he had in his arms we had in our shop for any tourist to come in to get in Venice Beach, California, on the boardwalk. So anybody could come in the shop and get a picture of this, gangster-looking clown, holding a gun or whatever, or, having the letter V on your arm, standing for Venice, or having the letter numbers 13.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to say 13 was very gang-related. Okay. And I had to explain to him, well, while it could be something particular that the gang has adopted, a 13 is by no means particularly a gang tattoo, because a lot of people get 13 because M is the 13th letter of the alphabet. So Mexicans will get 13 because it stands for Mexico.
Okay.
Bikers get it because 13 is supposed to be the bad luck number, so they're bad luck and they get 13. People that smoke ganja get it because M stands for marijuana, so they would get 13 for marijuana. I mean, whatever M stands for, people can adopt the number 13.
Okay.
And same with the V, same with everything that he got. So the jury ended up concluding that he wasn't gang related, and he got like 5 years instead of life.
Okay. Will you say there's a link between Satanism and tattoos, as it has been spoken about widely? I think you've heard that 1,000 times.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to tell you there's a link only because of the taboo nature of tattoos makes it attractive to anybody that is, against tattoos. So if, let's say, you're against tattoos and you're wagging a finger at these Satanists, whatever, then the Satanists are going to be like, I'm going to tattoo my whole body up. Why don't I just do it? And I'll do it with the most shocking satanic stuff that I can do, you know. But by no means would that represent all of tattooism. It might represent Satanists that like tattoos, but it doesn't represent why people get tattoos. It wouldn't represent why a Christian would go to get a tattoo, you know, and it wouldn't represent why a Hindu would, or a Buddhist would do it. But is there, I mean, there's not a link, because there's no magic associated with tattoos. The only thing a tattoo can do, even if you put something on your body that you think is a magic symbol, say you go with like Harry Potter and you put your Harry Potter symbol on, it's not going to glow and you're not going to float. It's not going to give you any kind of power or strength other than when you look at it, whatever it reminds you of will give you, you know what I mean, whatever confidence you need to get through life. And that's why people get tattoos, because it makes them feel tough and rebellious, and, you know, or maybe it reminds them of their dead aunt or dead dog, or, you know, grandma, whatever that they would end up getting, it's personal to them. So, you know.
How many cases have you had of people who came, did tattoos with you and regretted the next day?
I've had people come as couples and they were in love and they got married and they get tattoos on them, and then 2 weeks later the guy would come in, I need this shit off me. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey man, you just got it 2 weeks ago, you know? Yeah. And it's the nature of our mind. Look, people just want things. The tattoo is permanent, you know, and that's why even people in ancient times, they knew when they put this that's why they went to the shaman, you know. And then throughout history, tattoo artists were always some old guy, some old biker, some old sailor, some old, you know what I mean, guy chewing on a cigar, and you would have a drink and you would eat bzzz, you pick something. But nowadays, because, you know, you can go on YouTube, you can go on the internet, and you got enough juice to get out there now and start doing it, you know. That's why we have tattoos all over our face, because now we got young kids who just don't understand, or maybe they do, you know, but how permanent, you know, these things can be, you know.
Are you seeing a growing trend of tattoos in South Africa?
Yeah, for sure.
And who are your clients?
The kids of all the people whose parents told them they can't get tattooed. You know, everybody, nobody, you know, nobody's coming to say, like, nobody came to me to say, yo, my pop had this tattoo, so I want to get it too. Everybody's like, my parents didn't do this.
My mother will kill me.
Yeah, I got to get
it hidden. Please hide it here.
I want something small. I just want a little.
Something small.
Yeah, and of course, we'll suit everything. Yeah. You know, we'll suit anybody and their needs.
Have you done this on someone's private part?
I have. I've worked on several groin tattoos, as we like to call them. Yeah, okay. Mostly women. You know, women.
Mostly women.
Yeah.
Men.
With men, I've never tattooed on the penis for a man. You know, which again is some people do it. You know what I mean?
All right.
It's probably the most painful spot from, you know, what I was taught.
Okay.
That being said. And the women ones were tough too. You know, the inner thighs, right on the mound. It's a very delicate spot, but it's a good spot. And what I try to say is these spots, you know, like the face and the hands. I was always taught never get a tattoo where a judge can see it. Like that was the way we got taught.
Never get a tattoo a judge can see.
Where a judge can see it. Yeah, like in case you have to dress up for court. You know, you want to look nice.
Sure. Yeah.
But nowadays, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How many tattoos you
as
have
long as
yourself?
How many is hard to say, but it's approximately over maybe 100 hours worth of work. You know.
Yeah, so but I mean, when you say, I mean, now you're being technical.
Well,
if I say, but I mean, literally, like you can say.
My back is one tattoo, so how would I say that's just one? But the thing is over 25 hours so far on my back.
And most tattoos you did them yourself.
No, not on me. Most of my tattoos are all friends of mine in the shops that I've worked at, you know, across the country and the United States. Yeah.
Perhaps a final word that you would like to say to someone. Can you give caution, maybe? I think caution would be...
Yeah, caution. Everybody should have pause before you get a tattoo, but don't pause too much. I mean, you know, some tattoos are meant to be real thoughtful and something that's going to remind you of some lesson maybe for the rest of your life, and that's fine. But some can be fun also. You
what
know,
about
you can go in
skin
there and
cancer?
tattoos and skin cancer, I don't think really have a correlation unless, like I hear there's a new UV ink that uses like micro beading or something like that. And again, I don't know much about these new UV inks and stuff. I keep more old school, traditional style.
Yeah.
But so I'm not going to speak on that. You know.
Have you not heard anything about tattoos and skin cancer? I think you have. I mean, you're long in this field.
Yeah, but they don't. You're not going to get melanoma or anything from a tattoo. You get that from the sun. You know what I mean? From UV rays and stuff like that.
Okay.
The worst that you're going to get from a tattoo, as far as I know, is you can get a bad tattoo.
Yeah.
You can get a scar. You know, you can get it infected. If you don't clean your tattoo, you can develop any kind of
skin complication.
Yeah, you can get sepsis would be one of the worst things that you could get. You know, from because your tattoo is an open wound. It's a scratch. It's like getting scratched. You know, even though it's not passed through your permanent dermis, it's still it's still a scratch.
Yes.
And you got to treat it like so. It's going to scab. The scabs are going to come off, especially if you get a larger tattoo.
Okay, so, I get it. Recently, in fact, the very day I met you, earlier on, I met a gentleman who's got tattoos all over the face, and I thought, this is bizarre.
Shocking, right?
Yeah, it is.
I love it.
Is,
I love being shocked,
Yeah, But then with some professions, you can never be hired once you have a tattoo.
Again, that was one of the complaints back in the 90s, in the early 2000s. That's why people don't get them. That's why they were generally prison tattoos. Like prison, you can take a lot of things away from you. But when you get a tattoo, they can't take that away from you, or at least, it's difficult.
Oh yeah, they can't take that away
so that's why prison culture is identified with tattoos so much, just because it's just one of those things that you do when you're bored and you're in jail, and then when you start having gangs and grouping off into different people, of course everybody's going to come up with their little symbols and things like that.
Will you ever retire?
Please, as soon as I can.
As soon as you can.
I've been in this for 22 years, and people ask me the same questions for 22 years. How much is this? They want to cover this up. Those ones are fine because then you use your imagination. Cover-ups are great because I'll get somebody that has a bad tattoo or something they want to cover up. They'll be happy to show off the tattoo that they get next.
Yeah.
But that being said, give it some thought. Before you get it, and a little research. Look at a portfolio. That's another thing people don't really have when you walk in a tattoo shop anymore out here. They don't have their portfolio sitting there so you can see their work. Every tattoo artist should have a portfolio of their work.
Yeah. So when is the time you would advise somebody not to do a tattoo?
When you're not to get it, don't get it when you're too drunk, and I mean hammered. Don't get it when I don't know, you're in your feelings maybe. I don't know. No, you can get that one covered up. I would say don't get it when you're going to the beach, when you plan on going swimming or being out in the sun, stuff like that. Summertime's a great time to show off your body, but it's not the best time to get a tattoo if you're going to go, in the ocean or a pool and stuff like that.
Right.
Or at least you can't for about 7 to 10 days.
Yeah. In fact, I've spoken to one gentleman. He told me, I'm going to have a tattoo. I'm not a fan of tattoos. Never.
You ain't seen the right ones, man. I'm telling you. Some of them are just amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing.
And guess what I said? Please don't get a tattoo. Don't get it. And the next day he came with 3 stars on the neck.
But see, that's what I told you. You tell somebody not to do something, that's the first thing they're going to go run do.
So what I mean? In other words, we shouldn't be saying to people, don't do it.
Should make wise decisions about what you want to do.
Take wise decisions. As you're watching about tattoos, please make wise decisions.
Yeah.
And tattoos are permanent, he just told us. And sometimes we age, and that beautiful flower on your skin will start looking like something else different.
It'll age, but all flowers bloom and then wilt. You know what I mean? So
I can imagine you having a rose, and tomorrow it looks like a spear or something.
Yeah, but I want to tell you, any old person that I've seen covered in tattoos, I mean, wrinkled and old, they look amazing. You just want to go up to that old person, buy them a beer, and be like, tell me your life story. You see me with tattoos, and you want to be like, dude, what's your story? You know what I mean? Like, and just imagine you check somebody and they're in their 70s and 80s and they're
Yeah.
covered. Because look at this next generation. They're going to be covered. Their face is going to be covered. Their hands are going to be covered.
Okay. And the last question, I need to ask this one.
Sure.
How many clients you think you have tattooed in South Africa? You alone.
In South Africa.
Since you came in these 7 years.
Yeah. Good question. I don't know. It's got to be over. Oh goodness, I don't know. Because you don't tattoo every day. I don't know, but it's definitely like a couple hundred, maybe.
Couple of hundred.
Yeah.
Maybe we might say 300 people.
Yeah, I think that would be a safe. That'd be a safe bet. Yeah.
That's
And I could be conservative at that. I don't know. The more I think about how many needles that I go through these past 7 years, that might be 300 or so for sure.
What's the famous hidden spots of tattoos?
The famous hidden spots.
Yeah.
Well, just below the panty lines. Just below the.
The pink.
So when you bend over, you can see it, but other than that, you don't see it. They call it the tramp stamp, but right around that area, women love. Guys, yeah, they don't hide these things. They put them right out in Front Street. You know what I mean? They want to know. If you give a guy a tattoo on his chest, he's walking out of the tattoo shop with no shirt on. You know what I mean? Because he wants people to see that. Yeah.
So they can display the tattoo.
Of course.
Anyway, thank you very much, Aldo. Thank you for your
Ben,
time.
you're most welcome.
Coming, and we truly appreciate this interview.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. I hope you have learned something. Don't take a tattoo if you're not ready for it, and know exactly what it is you're getting yourself into. This is the Ben Stash Show.